All right, can we go over these dates now?
Yes.
Okay, and come up with a, and if I get these, I can come up with a schedule or at least milestone charts and put that up. If, one thing, on this thing, do you think you can put this in Excel or not?
Yeah, I mean, I can just take whatever is there and copy it into
Yeah.
Okay,
Excel.
all right.
It's not hard.
You got it beyond PDF, right?
I'm sure.
You just convert it.
Well, you can
We can
convert it.
Yeah,
You can
I'm sure we
convert
can
it.
convert it.
It's hard to
I do
convert.
not
I
have-
drew with a lot of that. That's hard to convert.
I do not have the
My school, way beyond.
I do not have the program for that, but Nydia does.
Yeah, I have it.
Nydia will convert it for me.
Okay, all
Could you
right.
maybe do it then?
Well, no, I mean, it's better than the city does it. I
Yeah.
don't want to get myself in trouble. My boss gets nervous when I do it.
Okay, so,
So
the
dates.
end date, let's
Yeah.
start with the end. So the end is what? May?
Well, the first week of June, we're supposed to have a report.
Yeah.
All right.
So have that the first week of June.
They want to receive a report the first week of June.
Right,
Yes,
yes,
the receive,
yes.
which
First week of
means it needs to
June.
be approved.
Okay,
by-
that report goes to the mayor and the city council, a mayor and
City
the
manager
CMO,
probably.
CMO.
CMO
It goes to
maybe
CMO
they
and the
copy.
mayor.
I don't
Probably
think every
copied, yeah,
council,
but
yeah.
whatever.
To
We'll figure that out.
CMO and mayor.
The MBAs come out of the CMO.
Yes.
Okay, now, that report is, what is that report? That's our report that was reviewed by the neighborhood commission. So we
Yes.
have developed that, goes to neighborhood commission, okay. All right.
So we actually have to have our
So now-
report to the neighborhoods
Neighborhood,
commission.
okay, so then,
By May.
May, which
Yeah.
is, what May?
At the meeting in May.
Pretty much May
Second.
1st.
They would-
It's the second Wednesday in May,
Second
Yeah.
Wednesday.
okay? But with all the notification stuff, it's a good 10 days before that.
Yeah, so we
So
gotta
figure May
go-
1st would be a good
May,
number.
yeah, let's
That
do
would be a
that,
good
yeah,
one.
May
Yeah.
1st is a Tuesday, that's good, okay, so 1 May, ICOC report to neighborhood commission, okay? Okay,
It's May 9th is the meeting, so May 1 is perfect for that.
okay.
Yeah, it is.
Well, is it? Is that enough
Well-
time? What do you need, 10 days?
It'd be-
Well,
That's 9 days.
It's a week to, we got to get it out, distributed on the 2nd, right?
Yes. I was going to say, I can get it distributed on the 2nd.
Okay,
So point of fact, because that's a Wednesday the 2nd, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Point of fact, you guys could have this meeting and have everything completely finished in this meeting, and I could immediately distribute it, and we would still be okay. So just if you need that extra day, that one extra day.
I must say that makes me very uncomfortable. And I would rather adjust our meeting dates.
yeah, well, we
You know,
could,
maybe we meet the third Wednesday or whatever,
well, yeah,
or maybe have a special meeting or two as
right,
we're
yeah,
nearing
yeah,
those
and
We can do that.
deadlines.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
are you
if
with,
we
good
could
with
do
that?
when we get into that kind of a crunch.
Yeah.
Working meeting, as long as it's noticed, right, because it would have to be noticed.
Yeah, well,
Here's
special
the 10
meetings,
days.
Although,
special meetings don't require as much notice as regular meetings,
Okay.
so they're much more flexible.
okay, so we're still gonna say to
May 1st.
So
May
say May
1st,
1st,
okay,
okay.
so then previous to that,
Okay.
what happens?
You guys have to finalize it so that it's ready for presentation, right?
We got report prep, but I mean,
Yeah,
we
well-
got an input, when do we get the input?
April,
from?
May, said there would be revenue projections.
Yeah,
So
April.
it's receive the information.
yeah, the city gets
So that's when we're
information.
gonna get the stuff for us to say it looks good to us.
Okay, so receive the information from who? From the budget, CMO, or what? Who do we get that?
CMO would
information
have to be,
From
yeah.
CMO.
And
Okay.
he said April, May.
I'm gonna say.
Should we just be looking for it the first week of April?
Let's do that.
Why don't we
And, you know,
pencil in?
This can be,
Yeah,
we're gonna
right.
come up with a
We'll
draft
change it.
schedule and
Yeah.
then let the numbers.
I'd say make that April 1st.
Yeah,
I do too.
absolutely.
And we give it to them and we say, we
Right.
would like that from you. That gives
Absolutely.
us a month
Yeah.
to work on it,
Okay.
you know.
April 1st
Okay.
is a Sunday.
April
Okay, well,
1st is.
yeah, it is a
a-
Sunday.
Yeah,
So it's the
Tuesday,
second,
right, so 2
yeah.
May then, I mean, 2 April, yeah, okay.
Mhm.
Right, okay. I got a dental appointment on that day,
Wow, already.
okay. I've been looking at my calendar now.
No, you guys
Okay.
are freaking me out.
What?
It's just, I can't believe it's almost Thanksgiving already.
Yes.
And we're talking about,
Don't worry.
June.
You don't have to
Yeah, yes, exactly. The end of the budget season.
oh God.
Okay, so we get the input from CMO. Okay, so now we're into
March.
March. We're, what, finalizing our work plan? What are we doing? We got,
That's where we should have received all the information by then.
Not by March.
No.
No,
We're
actually, what
going-
he was
we're
saying
April,
is.
we're gonna get it in
We're working
April. So
backwards.
we
Yeah.
need to develop,
How we're going to do it,
Yes.
right?
right, the
Okay,
how-to and
Yes.
what. The how to, what we're gonna deliver and how we're gonna do it. So we need to come up with a prototype or a,
Format.
what do you
Well,
call it?
March, why don't we do a run-through? I mean, let's have something on how we're going to do it by
Okay.
February, and March, maybe we can just go through the machine, make sure
Yeah,
that
run
we
through.
worked out everything.
Can I suggest we bump that up a month? We do the run-through in
February.
February?
Okay.
And if we want to take March off, we're fine, but if we
We can
screw
tweak
up,
it.
we can
tweak
do it
Or
again.
if we need to have an
Tweak it,
additional
Mark.
meeting.
Yeah, this really worries me.
Bad
I must say
idea.
I'm very uncomfortable.
February.
I
is-
understand,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, what he also said was that the February and March would be a time to have a meeting with the budget folks to get a sense of where
Okay.
they're thinking, because the March budget message is being worked on already by February,
Okay.
right? So you guys could have a meeting in early March to sort of
Okay.
feel out where the city is thinking of going with stuff, so you could,
Well, 1st of March, we have a meeting, well,
Yeah.
no, the 7th
March
of March
7th of
is
March.
would be our
Yeah.
meeting. But I think what you're looking at, what I'm looking at is we need to develop some kind of prototype.
Yeah.
Which doesn't have to have, it
It
can
doesn't have to
old
have the numbers in it,
but
yeah.
Yeah.
just something.
the structure.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
of what we're gonna deliver, tweak that so that when we get the real stuff, all we have to do is update it.
A little faster, yeah.
Plug in the different numbers.
Yeah, right.
That's a good idea.
Okay, but no, I think Pete was suggesting that we have that in February,
Yeah,
so that,
Structure.
So it gives us a little more wiggle room.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we
Right,
have,
and
we
I agree
have
with
old
that.
number, we got the old stuff
Yeah.
now.
Yes.
That we can use a prototype.
right.
Yeah.
And they'll have some projections by then.
I think.
I mean, they have projections for this calendar year. Okay,
Right,
so the,
yeah,
you
but,
know, it already exists, so
Yeah.
we can do
yeah,
that
we're
work.
coming up with a dummy thing that, dry run, that
Yeah, dry
kind of
run.
thing, this is what we
Yes.
would produce, and,
Okay.
and does this work or it doesn't work, and everybody can kind of look at it at both ends of the spectrum here and say, yeah, this is, or not.
Do you, Sabrina, think that we should or must fling anything as we're developing these things? We should run them up through and make sure we're not offending anybody or give them an opportunity to censor us? Or, you know, how sensitive do we have to be about this and how much do
I
we
don't-
just have to telegraph it?
I don't know that I would ever say censor you. However,
Yes.
it probably would be a good idea to, if you guys are talking about doing like a exercise, a mock-up in January, to, once that's completed and you're comfortable with it following our first meeting, for me to pass it
Present.
along
I-
and put it
yeah, I
in front
think
of
that's- You guys good
somebody's
with that?
eyes in the
Because-
budget office.
Right. Well,
I don't think we have to be that formal. I think whatever
No,
we do.
But I think that's
Yeah.
a good time,
Yeah.
Okay.
because,
Well, we want to make sure we're on the right track.
yes.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And if
But
they
I-
think we're on the wrong track, we want to understand why.
We want,
And I-
Yeah.
we want to know when we're on the wrong
Yeah.
track.
And
Well,
that'll
that's
be,
what we
and when we
Yeah.
present
Well,
that will
hopefully.
be,
Yeah.
that will be based, the
Okay.
presentation will say, this is based on inputs from everybody, this is what we
Right.
did to get to this point, and, so there's a level of, it's not just a dump and run, this is how we got to this point, this is what we're basing it, and this is how we plan to go ahead, kind of thing.
Should
In
we?
January, it should be early enough that they're not sleeping under their desks yet, so
Mm-hmm.
they might actually have a chance to look at it. If you wait till February, it's gonna be a little harder.
Should we formalize this in any way at all, that we've got a week to get our act together and then we're gonna dump it on you and you've got a week to get it onto them? And so that we'll have a week or two to swallow whatever they send back or get any reaction time or discussion or anything like that?
Sure. I mean, if
Is
that's
that-
what you guys wanna do, it's fine.
Say that again?
It's gonna take us a while we'll have a meeting and we'll go through some stuff. We'll have to package that up and hand it to Sabrina to pass along. Well, then what happens? So much of what we do as a commission just disappears. I mean, we never hear anything back about it. So this, we want to get some feedback. Can we establish like a 1 week period and there'll be some sort of nice it would look great, we don't like this, we haven't had time, in other words, some sort of a response, so that we
Yes.
then have time before the
I-
next meeting to adjust to whatever happened,
That's
how it was
kinda
received.
the way I'm kind of used to things. You put something
Yeah.
out and then you got a 5 working day or 10 working day response time, and no response is acquiescence.
Mhm.
I mean, it's,
Why don't we
Wait a
put
minute.
these things in this document of yours, Gary?
okay, but when were we gonna go to, so we're gonna develop this prototype,
In February.
Feb,
I thought February was a run-through.
that's what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
the run-through for, well, that's a run-through, okay.
We need to have
Developing
it
a
before we-
prototype would be
Okay.
It would be
January.
January,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's in January, okay. Okay. And then when would we present this to the NC?
Not
Yes.
until,
February, for the February meeting?
no.
That's even later than that. May is what we said,
It's
May
April.
No,
1st.
this is the prototype.
Oh, okay.
You guys could
prototype.
present the prototype in February if you wanted to.
Just to show the neighborhood commission,
Yeah,
this
February.
is what we've developed as a model for what we're gonna submit.
Yeah,
And based on, this is how we developed this model,
Yeah.
based on A, B, and C. And this is for your, whatever,
yeah, so February.
February,
So Wouldn't
okay.
that be just an update? You know how you have to do an update
Yeah,
each
that's
ad
what I'm
hoc?
thinking
Yeah,
too.
right.
Because,
I don't think anybody cares.
because, yeah, well, no. Here's my concern, if we say, here, give us your feedback for right now. I mean, that's why we have an ad hoc, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Otherwise, we're gonna take up the time of the entire
Right.
commission, and
You
there's gonna
guys-
be too many cooks in the kitchen.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys have
So
this
we're actually
standing.
This is
committee.
standing.
Yes,
though.
I was like, this is not an ad
Yeah,
hoc.
we-
This is a
We
standing
can have an
committee.
ad hoc.
Same
but
thing,
it's a
though.
standing committee.
Okay,
Sort of.
Same,
More
but
work.
you're exactly right.
Yeah.
yeah,
We, in fact, I think a written report would be better.
yeah.
In
Here's,
February.
here's our report for the month, there's 5 minutes to go around, you got any questions? Boom, we're over. But I'm 100% agree with you, yeah.
Okay.
The purpose of this group is to do the work.
Right.
If they're interested, come to a meeting.
Then they
Yeah,
should have
come and
participated.
help us
Right,
do
we
that.
asked
But
them
I-
to volunteer,
Sit down.
right?
Yeah.
I would also say, if we're looking how this fits into the Neighborhoods Commission overall timeline, if you're talking about potentially doing a letter to the mayor in March or
4
February,
months in February, yeah.
well, I should say in February, then if this wraps well into
The budget
hammering
season,
out the
yeah.
letter, the budget letter.
Okay. Update only.
Well, we'll deal with that another time. Who's gonna do that budget letter and all? But
You have to talk to the whole commission for that one. It's not you guys. Nicole's
Okay.
thinking about it though.
What are we
already.
doing in December then?
Taking a break.
December off, time to read?
We have a, well,
We have a neighborhoods commission.
we've got a neighborhoods commission meeting, and we have we got a meeting on the 6th. We
Which you guys
can,
don't have to have.
Yeah, I think we should drop it. We
Yeah,
don't have anything
because
to
we're
do.
gonna have a lot building up to it.
okay, how about the comments back on the plan?
What do you
Oh,
mean?
I haven't read your plan
Plan?
yet. Where's how could you comment, where's my flow chart?
So what I'd like to do, as a result of this meeting, is plug in some of the stuff
The
as a result of
timeline.
this meeting into that plan,
That's a good idea.
and get it back out to you guys. And then for December, come back. Now, if we don't want to have a formal meeting, I don't care, we can do this by email, and that's what I need to talk to you about. Why not?
You can't?
We can't have an ad hoc within the standing committee?
No.
We
You
can't?
cannot. No. You cannot have an ad hoc, which would be like 2 people. It would be a really weird
3
thing.
people.
Well, yes, except that we haven't heard from 2 of our commissioners, so I don't know if you're going to count on them necessarily. So it would, if you're going to have a formal discussion about the content, it has to be public.
So that would be a formal meeting in December.
December. And it could be a half an hour meeting. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be a full
Yeah,
thing.
short meeting.
Let's do that then. Have a social life.
I would suggest do that.
You do?
Have a full social
You
life.
do.
I'm good with that, but it's a lot of overhead for a half an hour meeting.
Well,
You know, get here and all that. I'm fine, I'm close, I don't have any problem with it, but
it's more overhead for me.
it's a lot more overhead for you, yes. Can we get by without a meeting?
Well,
Can we just distribute this
Well,
and each do our own thing?
how do we, no, well, I'm gonna come up with a schedule, you're gonna come up, well, when were you gonna come up with the
I can have that for the next meeting,
which would be,
December 6th,
Okay.
or whatever date we just said.
So we'll do it, okay.
Yeah, that's right, December 6th, because my birthday's on Friday. So, that week,
Your birthday?
December 8th.
Sweet 16, huh?
Yes, of course, I'm only 16 years old. Right. No, I'm getting old.
No, I'm already old, Gary's getting old.
yes.
Jim's getting old.
I'm getting old.
Yeah.
We're older.
Yeah,
Okay, so then we are.
We're older. than
Nothing
when
wrong
we
with getting old.
First walked in the room tonight, I mean, come on.
Okay,
So we are gonna have a meeting.
you'll burn this into the document?
yes.
It'll be a nice short one.
Can we run through the document as it exists and just see if there's any reactions? I've been through it a couple times.
It's a good idea.
Just
Well, can we go through
make
the
some other
Absolutely.
changes
No,
and make
no,
some other, no, we got time.
absolutely,
But I mean,
you know.
like I already say, do a flow chart and plug in Excel. All right.
Would there be any sense to take the math of that Excel sheet of the MBA 14 and put it into the document and say these are the numbers we're working with from the first year? In other words, putting that in concrete in this document. And then a question for you, Sabrina, where does this thing go afterwards? This is back to my library question forever.
I mean,
you know
it'll
that.
live in our office is where
Yeah.
it's gonna go.
They have a whole end just to your memos from that.
Yes,
I would think that as a part of
it's
this.
that round filing cabinet. right
As
there.
part of this committee, that somewhere along the line, that you gotta have some kind of working document. We're gonna have minutes, we're gonna have an agendas. This would
History.
be part
Well,
of the
I see.
working
They're on
paper
there. Yeah.
Procedure
of
manual.
what the,
Your procedure
It's
what
there.
this committee worked to. I mean, this is what we worked to and everything
To-
else, I mean, I would think.
I think a little bit longer term, the city is in the process of overhauling its website. So once the website overhaul is further underway, that would be the time to have a conversation about creating maybe like a sub-menu within the Neighborhoods Commission.
So people can actually
for
get to it.
documents divided
Okay.
into folders, at least by years, and possibly, like, you mean one for the ICOC, one for the regular commission, one for, you guys probably don't call yourselves the ICOC, but I call you that.
No, yeah,
We do.
I see it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, good.
I'm going to suggest then that we do that on our own
Do
for
what?
now, unofficially, create a filing system for all of these
Oh,
documents
yeah.
and create a
Well,
history.
Sabrina's gonna have.
I mean, I do.
Well,
There's
no.
one behind the scenes, but it's just not.
No, on a
publicly
computer.
available.
Well, and so you can just pull the plug and it'll transfer over to this other system?
Yeah, because it's already, actually, almost all of the files, even whether or not they're published on the website, all of them exist on the website. So when we switch over to the website, they're going to transition over all of our pages, including all of these documents, unless we tell them to not do it.
Okay, well,
And some departments that makes sense because they've got information going back decades and they've got versions of things that are out of date. Why
Right.
would you want to keep them?
yeah.
That's past records retention policy and a bunch of other things. It
Well,
doesn't
then there's
matter.
also minutes of this meeting, right?
Yes.
So that's actually a public record.
That is a public record. And actually, the
That's-
minutes
that's
for
what-
last meeting will be posted tomorrow.
Yes.
So, and these will be posted sooner than that. Things have gotten a little out of hand, but there's just a lot of minutes for you guys these days.
A lot of meetings.
I know.
Yeah. Okay, can we run through this?
Yes.
On this top part, do we need to say anything about Rules Committee and that we formed a standing committee for it for this year and that a standing committee will have to be created every year to handle this? I mean, do we want to put something like that in here, or is that getting too granular and just taking up
It's
space?
kind of the background.
Huh? It's in this background thing. I think this is a
Overview,
great little
please.
summary of the overview, yeah.
What paragraph you want? First paragraph?
First paragraph.
Last.
Oh, the last paragraph.
Yeah, so it's a
First.
chronological, so here's the summary, and it says this
Yes.
happened first, and then this
Yes.
happened,
Right.
Sentence.
and then it was done, and we created a standing committee. Well, but, we're gonna have to do that every year, and rules had to authorize the standing committee on the work plan. So in terms of our calendar as a commission every year, we're gonna have to create a work plan and put creation of a standing committee on there, and then go to rules and have them approve that work plan and that standing committee, or some other variant of that.
It'll probably be NSC instead of rules. This year was just,
Was it?
you guys were a little bit more.
Whoever, do we need to
Observable
document those
this year.
steps here in case we all get hit by a truck? I'm a big on hit by the bus guy, so, would you leave, breadcrumbs behind where people figure out where you've been?
Debris.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the standing, I don't know how this gets handled. The standing committee has a different status than the regular ad hocs.
Right.
The ad hocs, according to the policy, the 04, and there's a standing committee description too in the 04 policy. But the standing committee, ad hocs have to go no longer than 6 months.
That's right.
Okay. I don't know what the end date on the standing committee is.
I don't know for sure that there is one. However, I do think it's a good idea for every time you guys do a work plan to just ensure that it's called out.
Yeah.
Because it does require additional staff resources
Right,
to run
now.
a standing committee.
Right, and so maybe rather than create a standing committee would be to continuation of, or some different wording.
Well, I think the
creation.
standing committees die with the commission year. I think when we start our new season, we start from scratch. I could be wrong, and so we should find that out. But the reason I thought that is because I think this dies on June 30th. This standing committee goes away.
Why,
on
because
June
there's
30th.
changes to people
No,
coming
I
in
thought
and out.
we said we were gonna go out to December. That's what I thought.
We can't.
Here we go.
Well,
Well, we
December
are-
of next year?
Yeah,
Oh, I don't know.
because of the budget, the budget, are we gonna be done?
I think we're done.
Are
when
we done, gonna be
I
done?
think we're done on
in,
June 30th.
Yeah, you're,
Are we
And
gonna be
that's fine.
done? Is everything gonna be done by then?
Yeah.
you'll be
Oh,
done
no.
with your
We go out of
reporting by
business.
then, yeah.
No, but I mean,
Yeah.
is our work gonna be done for what we talked about tonight? Are we gonna be done in June?
That's our.
We'll have to
If we-
find
if-
out.
Okay,
That's
but
what
no,
I
if that's a
understood,
true
yeah.
statement, then yeah.
Three of us
then
might
that
not
makes
be
sense.
on the
I thought
commission.
that was gonna go further.
On July 1st, right? The three of us are up for grabs. So we might not even be on the commission on July 1st. 153.
1.3, yeah, okay. We may or may not be here.
So
No,
I mean, if you
no,
can't,
that's-
I think that's what
reality,
happens. I think it goes away.
Yeah.
But if you could dig that out,
I am.
that'd be
Looking
a
at
great
writing
thing
it
to
down.
have, yeah. So whatever, if we do have to rebirth every year, I think that ought to be in here in some form or another, just as a trail,
So where do we put that in the,
Saying added to the third paragraph of the
Yeah.
first section.
okay, do you have some words to that effect?
No,
Pete?
I don't.
Okay, can you send me something?
Sure.
All right.
So we can all send stuff to Gary. He
Yeah,
can
'cause I'll control the
aggregate it
iterations.
and-
No, yeah,
yeah,
I'll
okay.
I'll manage the iterations. Why I'm, okay. Okay.
Should we put, like in the first, I'm down here, and it's in the charter, where it says San Jose City Measure B sales tax, should we put quarter sales tax?
I would encourage that internally, that's important.
Yeah, quarter cent, otherwise it interprets it as the sales tax, so a quarter cent.
Where's
No,
that-
actually, technically, it's called the local sales tax, which is what lets,
As
which is,
opposed to the
that
state,
specific quarter
yeah.
cent is called the local sales tax, which is what gives it to us. But I think instead of maybe doing that, why don't we just put in the year? So San Jose City's 2016 Measure B sales tax, or was it 15?
I think it was 2016.
Yeah,
Then you can go
2016.
to a document, then
Yeah.
you can actually,
Okay,
I think that's your
2016,
point, right?
Yeah,
What the hell are we talking about here?
San
That's what
Jose
we're talking about.
City's 2016 Measure B sales tax ballot measure.
Yeah,
Okay. All right,
and it's in two places there, I guess.
2 places?
Well, it's charter, on the line that says charter, it spells it out, and then the next paragraph down in boldface. The 2.1,
Yeah.
the San Jose City's Measure B sales tax.
Oh,
Means in there.
And then the very next line,
The
yeah.
next-
2016
Right.
Measure B.
The,
Got it.
the bolded part right there at the beginning of that
The next paragraph.
paragraph. Yeah. It's right here.
Oh.
Now I have a really weird one. The sales tax measure to fund essential city services such as blah, 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 blah. So the such as is really the linchpin of all of this analysis that we're in. Should we highlight it there, underline it or something like that, and then subsequently break out the such as and give an explanation, very short? I mean, we don't want to get into the general versus specific tax thing, but what we want to say is that it was intent, the money, well, let me back up. I think our job is to go to somebody on the street and say, you know, the city spent the money that they got out of that sales tax in these different places, and we thought they hit the mark here, and they missed it here, and here's the reason they missed it, because they needed money for the floods, and, you know, that's what we found this year, we'll see what happens. I think that, to me, is the message that we individually will carry out to people. So some of that gets down to, well, what do you mean they spent it on floods? That wasn't in the ballot measure. And we really want to be able to argue with people that, or discuss that, you know, those were examples of where that's where they wanted to spend it. That's where they intend to spend it. But the real world comes along and, you know, suddenly you got to take the money out of the fund to fix the roof and things like that. Do we want to get into that level of communication, I guess, in this thing and break out the such as and identify it that it's not, these aren't hard commitments? And we don't have to answer all that tonight. I keep trying to come down into, if you bang into somebody at the Safeway, you know, what, in the line, what do they want to know?
It almost sounds like what you're saying is it kind of sums it up in maintaining the city's long-term financial stability.
Yeah, and it's a catch-all too, yeah.
I mean, that catches everything that.
Oh, everything is here. Oh, yeah, this was vetted.
This is the actual wording
Yeah.
of the measure.
Yes.
That's why I put it in italics.
Yeah.
And the only reason I underscored the independence because it was us, and it's in this particular document. It refers to us specifically, so
Kind of connects the dots.
that's why I underscored it. So.
And I did have a question on what independent means here.
Sabrina can't
Where?
tell us what to do.
I know, I'm like, I don't know what to tell you guys.
That was on the.
It's on my, no, I know we don't have any answer right now, but I hope we can kind of make sure that it remains independent as we go
Yeah,
through
I
this.
understand what you're saying.
I'm willing to let that go, by the way. I don't want to fight for that, but if somebody wants to think about it and see if that, we want to elaborate on that, I'm good with that one way or another.
To free from influence from the council members we represent, right, or special groups, but I mean, that already falls as part of, you know, when we do our swear-in, right?
Yeah, it
That's
doesn't mean it
covered
doesn't
by
happen. No, yeah.
Am I thinking correct?
It should be covered by that,
Yeah,
which is
it's
part of the
covered by
reason
that.
council thought you were already sort of
Independent.
set up to be independent.
The next paragraph, scope of work, fourth line up from the bottom, within the existing T24, does that say anything? Does that mean anything?
That's the link to the agenda, right?
Is there a link there that, oh, is this a
Well,
link?
that's what it was.
This
I
should
would-
say something.
I would encourage it to be in English.
Yes.
And then just embed the link within the English, because otherwise it looks
Stupid.
really confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not so much stupid, it just looks,
Well, you can't understand it.
it doesn't make any sense, and it's going
Right.
to turn other people who try to read this off. They're going to be like, well, I don't, this is technical or something. They're just
So
going
you
to
can
assume
almost
they're
draw a
dumb.
line through those numbers and just, because it is.
Yeah, existing scope, right,
Yeah.
is what it's supposed to say, yeah.
Existing
Okay, so why don't we just say
council agenda,
within
12,
the existing scope?
Yeah, so either remove that or make it a link, but having it in there in that
No,
form is
just
just
keep
disruptive.
All right, so we're going to delete that. So it reads, within the existing scope of the Neighborhoods Commission.
Mhm.
All right.
And this has always been an interesting thing to me, and I think Lee explained it tonight. Second last line, review local sales tax revenues annually. So again, local sales tax is this quarter-cent thing. But that says they need to give us, is it need or desires? What's the verb here? They have to give us this stuff that they were talking about doing in April,
Actually, they're
May.
required,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I think.
Yeah,
They're required.
yeah.
We have to have it.
Require that we review it, yeah, okay.
And
I've always
this
wondered
is a
what that
lift
meant.
from, you know, city stuff, so.
No, I get that, but
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
never
yeah.
understood what that
Yeah.
phrase meant there, so.
But required to review, is that what you
Yeah,
mean?
the review local sales tax revenues annually. You know, what form is that gonna be? How will we know what that is, you know, and they've been saying there's no way to break the money out. Now we find that the state has done it, which is great, but, you know, how do we review the revenues if we don't
Yeah,
have
but
numbers?
this
you know?
this is referring specifically to that Measure B, that it's the Measure B sales tax revenue
I understand,
and that, so,
but he was saying they didn't have a way to figure that out
yeah.
until the Board of Equalization just fixed things, so, yeah.
I was.
I've been worried about this, man.
Me
I've been
too.
through this
Yeah,
thing a million times.
Coming out of the world I came out of, yeah, jeez.
You know, in looking at this, review the sales tax, this is Mimi's calendar, this is Mimi's timeline. Maybe we should take some of this language specifically there or refer to it back and forth. So, you know, review when that's gonna happen in whatever, April, May. Report to the city council, that happens in May, June. You know, maybe we can tie the text to the timeline or put the timeline in and put them together. Is the timeline gonna go in the document?
Yes,
Oh, cool,
yeah,
okay.
I think I got a schedule thing or something there, I think I had
We have committee schedule.
a status somewhere, anyway,
Okay.
yeah, committee schedule.
Near-term planning?
Take this up and send it to you.
Oh,
as a
yeah,
Word
yeah,
doc.
yeah, or,
Yeah, they turn the
yeah,
heat
you
off,
can do
don't
that, but maybe before I leave.
There's
also,
another
just
meeting
give me the
upstairs.
Xerox
There you go, okay.
Before we leave, but go ahead and
You
do
can
that.
read
No,
my writing.
well, whatever, but I can start
Okay.
setting
Okay,
something
all
up,
right.
you know what I mean? Because I'm a procrastinator and I gotta keep the mo going, momentum.
Okay.
Big mo.
So, Sabrina, you are able to make a copy of this for Gary?
Tonight?
What is that?
Just
Her
make a quick
notes.
copy of it?
Yeah, I can make
Okay.
a copy.
All right. Get the little machine back there and,
And mimeograph.
Mimeograph.
Sabrina doesn't know what a mimeograph is, do you?
What
You have
is
no
that?
idea.
No idea what you're talking about.
You know what a ditto machine is?
No,
You know
What?
Do you
Are
know what
these
a dial telephone is?
of course I do.
Well, you'd be surprised.
Like a rotary
There's
phone?
a-
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I
There's a
remember
generation
those.
that don't.
Yeah.
so
I know.
this used to
They're
get
younger than me.
transposed to a clear thing that used to pick up all the writing in it, and then you put it in a tube, and it inked it, so you were kind of like pressing it.
I think I saw those in like second grade.
Yeah,
Yeah, no mistakes.
yeah.
Special officer.
No mistakes.
Yeah, and you got to smell the fumes, that
You
was the
did?
best part, yeah.
Everybody going,
The ink was unbelievable, yeah.
Your teacher would send you to go make copies of the video machine, yeah?
Okay,
Good old days.
near-term
Okay.
planning and
Okay,
goals.
So we'll get a copy of this, and that can be, that's the one be under the committee schedule, right?
I'm
Item
gonna,
five?
I may add a paragraph or something, we'll call it the, whatever we call it here,
It kind of fits with the scope of work, it's,
Put it with
It
the scope
does.
of work?
you know.
I think it does.
So that
I
would
mean,
go
we've got a
under
committee
item
schedule
2.2?
thing, that's our, you know, just us girls thing, but I mean, the
2.2.
actual, or is that the ICOC? What's the difference between 4 and 5, Gary?
where are you?
Page 2,
The back.
For ICOC meetings?
and committee,
Oh, scheduled, the committee.
Scheduling.
That's the committee schedule, ICOC meeting, Measure B funding, report, yeah, this is what we're talking about here.
I think it does go under committee schedule.
Right, and then this will be a figure
Yeah.
under
Makes
that
It's item
paragraph.
5, yeah. Falls under item.
well, this is more than a committee schedule, this is a commission schedule.
It's the,
Because we want to put in there the commission dates when the letters get approved and things like that. So we want a calendar which shows the
yeah,
entire
but that's,
scope here.
all
But
those
this is our
drivers
schedule.
are what we're doing. That's our work product, driven by the NC meetings and submittals to people.
No, I understand that, yeah, but I shouldn't, I mean, it's not just our schedule is my point here.
So you could change the title to committee
Can we
and
make,
commission
shouldn't this
schedule.
be commission?
It's good. schedule.
It's the oversight
Okay, good enough, okay.
committee's
Yeah,
product,
Okay.
timeline of
product
deliverables.
schedule. It's how we're gonna
Okay.
handle our product and get along the pipeline.
I would have called it timeline of deliverables. Timeline.
Yeah.
Do we want to go through these near-term goals?
Sure.
Focusing on defining ICOC reporting structure? Did we just do that with the,
Well, he's gonna give us a flow chart supposedly of,
Well, I'm probably when he's gonna do that, but yes.
yeah, isn't that the,
What he just
we'll
said
get something to
to
Sabrina
me,
in a week later?
And I will figure it out,
Yeah.
yeah, from there. The week turnaround.
So that's week 1, week 2, week 4, basically.
so that was that flow chart that Lee mentioned,
Right.
which would also, both of those would, well, points of contact for the interfaces. It sounds like the interface primarily is gonna be Sabrina, is what it sounds like.
And Lee,
Defining protocols and guidelines for Brown Act compliance.
I don't think we need
It's
that on
kind
there.
of motherhood, but
Yeah.
it needs to be done, because we do have kind of a little bit different thing because we're a standing committee as opposed to an ad hoc or something like that, so we need to be cognizant of it,
Yeah.
I guess.
Oh, yeah, very much.
What that's doing is, if somebody says, are you guys in compliance with the Brown Act? Yeah,
So we
you
got
know,
it.
we can say that, because we are, you know, looking at it, and Sabrina's keeping us up to date on, well, you
put
identified
ask
things that we
Sabrina.
can and cannot do as a standing committee,
Keep
so.
you guys honest.
I mean, you know, so it's legit, I know, it's kind of legitimate. Identifying oversight for developing performance, we're doing that.
Yep.
Developing a timeline, we're doing that. We're
Mhm.
developing guidelines and processes, we're doing that, so.
Yep.
I don't know, I think those are all right on there. Adding,
So near-term.
it's the near to goals.
Can we just replace section 5 with Mimi's chart?
Yeah, it's a good chart.
Yeah, it will, no, this, the chart will be in there, and the paragraph will reference it, but,
Very easy to understand.
yeah, but
This
we need.
this is just mom and apple pie, that says something.
Yeah, well, and working together, they're gonna complement one another.
Yeah. I like it.
Other stuff there. Six point one, status reports. We want to say something there about short and sweet and written.
You know, I didn't see a status report that I provided in the thing last month for the neighborhood commission.
Okay.
Yeah, there
In
was
the
something.
agenda?
I saw
The
something.
agenda, I
You
thought
saw it,
It was
you
in
saw
the-
the
I think
copy?
it was
No,
in
I
the
didn't see the
package.
copy of. That's all right, no, yeah, I didn't see
I
it.
saw it.
It was in
I
the,
don't
it was
know
in the
if
it was-
package? It was? Oh, okay, I just didn't see it in the
Yeah.
package,
Is that
okay.
with you?
That's typical, I mean, that's kind of,
Did you send it out by email too?
no, I gave it to Sabrina because I'm limited, that's the other thing I need to know. can I or can I not send out an email to all the committee members?
You can, as long as you will not be discussing anything of substance that the committee would be discussing now or in the future.
So, like for that status report, could I have sent that status report out to all the members?
With the purpose of, for them just to see it and
Yeah.
not respond?
Yeah.
Why would you do that as opposed to just sending it directly to the whole commission as a status report? I mean, I can understand.
Can you send it to the whole
wanting-
commission?
Hold up. Well,
Pete.
we will get to why the process
Got
of sending it
excited.
to the whole commission, but my point is, sending it to just these folks for their information, or sending it to these
Yeah.
folks for
Information.
feedback, or,
Courtesy.
Courtesy.
Heads up. This is what's coming up.
What I would like to have done was send it to you,
Mm-hmm.
send it to Nicole as the chairman of the NC, and then CC this committee
Mm-hmm.
as a courtesy.
What
well,
would the value be?
as sending it to Nicole would be, even I don't send things to Nicole. We have conversations about logistical items that go onto the agenda, but aside from that, we don't talk about anything of substance. So I wouldn't send to Nicole a report. I would just stick it into the entire agenda so that all commissioners can see it and it goes public when the agenda is published, so that we're not violating the Brown Act.
So that status report would go just to you
Yes.
to put into the agenda page.
Right, because if it's piecemeal coming into all of you guys, then an argument could be made that some of you have a different understanding ahead of time from the public, and if something were to happen, I don't know what, but if something were to happen, you would have information that the entire commission does not have.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. I just need to know the hoops I need to jump through, that's all, that,
Sounds simple enough.
I'll jump through them.
This is really good. This is actually, I mean, I probably should have read this before we started this. All of it is in here, Jerry.
Huh?
All of this is in here.
Yeah, but once
Yeah.
again,
No, yeah,
we
I like
need,
it.
look, everybody has to take ownership in this.
Yeah.
It's not my plan, and I'm not comfortable with, here it is, take it or leave it kind of thing.
No, I like that we're arriving at the same concept or, the same process.
Project management.
Project management.
Is what you're talking about, maybe. I know
Yeah.
you get that, don't you? You understand it.
Yeah.
I
No,
think,
Go ahead.
sorry, just for my own purposes here, on the first page, you write out the Neighborhoods Commission every single time, and don't ever abbreviate it in parentheses
NC?
like you do ICOC, but by the time you get to page 2, you just start to say NC, so at
Okay.
some point you need to add that. Or write it out consistently the entire time, I don't know.
Okay, I can do it in that third, paragraph 1 overview, the third paragraph where I say the Neighborhoods Commission, I can put NC in there and then use NC after that, if you like.
Yeah, but
That's
just,
good. Sure.
Okay.
again, it's supposed to be an external facing document. You want people to understand and follow along with you.
I think this is a good first cut.
Yeah, this is
It's
good work. Good job.
I'm going to throw a weird thing on the table. I don't know if it's not on the agenda. I don't know what we do. I think it'd be really smart for us to go to the public safety, the transportation, where the money was going to be spent, and put together ourselves a little table of how much was spent over the last 5 years in each of those categories, so that we kind of have a baseline to look at, so that when down the road, when we get a number from the city that says this is the change, as a result, we sort of have an independent reality check. Is that an appropriate?
Would that be on the auditor's report that we get every year?
Yeah,
Should
we
we
can
send
get
that
the
book?
budget numbers, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can get but what I'm saying is arrived at them independently over the last 5 years, so that we can see if their numbers make sense when they do come out. And they should, I'm not suggesting that, but if they're different, maybe learn what happened. The concern I've had, and I've had a lot of talks with people, is that this money is fungible. Okay, so you're gonna spend $40 million on streets this year, okay, but we're gonna give you 10 million more. Well, we're gonna take 10 that we were gonna take from some other pile away, so you still only have 40 million to spend. But 10 of it was from the sales tax. So is it incremental, or is it replacing some other source of funds? And that's one of the things that people are worried, that it's a shell game.
Right.
You know, and so they'll take all of this money and they'll say, we spent it here, but it'll really go to pensions, and pensions is the one that really, the Mercury News did a story on this back in February last year, actually. I don't know, I don't ever seen any follow-up, but there was a big problem with pension money, and they thought they might have to take all of this new sales tax money and put it toward that. You
Yeah,
know,
I remember the article.
yeah, and I don't know whatever happened to that, but that's the concern that I hear from people, is it's a shell game, and it's that confidence that Lee and Gary were talking about. You know, if you're gonna come with another sales tax sometime in the future, boy, you better show that you played fair on the last one. So I'm gonna do a little digging on that independently, especially if, so I got Lee now in the budget office, and I got Reagan, Reagan is one of my other great friends. So we got her in Sam's budget thing. This is killer. We'll go get anything from them.
Let me go over this, okay, so that, and in the first paragraph there, Pete, you're gonna give me an input for that third paragraph.
Yeah, so I'll just write one or two
Yeah,
sentences.
you
yes.
can send it to me, okay.
Yes.
Then, I'm good with everything, I'm gonna get us, I'm gonna copy of this, and then you're gonna give me an update, you're gonna go over this, and then I'll put it in a scheduled format. So I'm okay with that. We're gonna get a flow chart from Lee Wilcox, which I'm not sure where we're gonna put it yet. I mean, it's in that near-term planning goals and all that, but I'm not sure. When we get it, we can find a home for it. The only thing I'm not sure, we agreed that we were gonna work on this, or get this SBA in a matrix. You're gonna convert it, you're gonna pick it up and put it into Excel, but where are we gonna put it in here, or are we just gonna reference it in here?
I think we just reference it.
Okay, where are we
Yeah.
gonna reference it? Where's the, yeah, I just need to
Well,
find the home
it's
point.
the, where's the report?
The last paragraph, the IOC Measure B
Yes,
report,
that's where it goes.
6.2?
Yep, that's where it goes.
Okay, so that's where it goes. Okay, so that'll be, can I say based on the,
Yeah, use an MBA 14 as a model or
yeah,
something like
based
that.
on MBA. Okay, yeah, okay, great. Yeah, good. All right. I think we're good on that.
We have to do about this one, this requires action, right?
Doesn't necessarily. I think he decided early on in the meeting that it would not require action, and it's okay, so I just wrote deferred to December
Okay.
in my minutes.
Move we adjourn. Don't have to
Okay,
do
so
that.
new business.
You don't have to do that.
Is the draft, okay,
That's
and
what
then
you
we
were
have the meeting
doing.
scheduled, next meeting will be December 6th, okay, that's good, that's good. Okay, I thought, you know, that was my comments, if we want to say anything, I thought the meeting went well with Lee. Thank you all for coming, thank you for finding the snacks, appreciate that.